So warm welcome to all of you. Today we are going to learn a new concept in business research methods. It is a language of research. Any scientific disciplines that needs a specific language for describing and summarizing the observations in that area. So every language will have its own keywords which will be used to summarize the things in that particular area. So here also the language of research is having a variety of concepts related to research. So what are those in the sense? The first and foremost thing, concepts, constructs, variables, models, theories, propositions, and hypotheses, and all these are the various types of concepts that we can able to see in the language of research. So the language of research, it's essential to understand the things related to that particular domain. Suppose if you can see a scientific research investigation, the biotechnology, chemistry, physics. So every domain will have their own terminology with respect to research. So such terminologies will help a lot to conduct a research in a systematic manner. The same likewise, even when you go for the language of research, in language of research, first and foremost thing will comes under the concept. The concept. What is the meaning of concept? In fact, a concept can be an object or subjects, the condition, the event, the situation, and the behavior of a particular phenomenon. So all such elements will form a concept. Suppose a concept can be an object or a subject or a specific condition or an event or a situation or a behavior of a particular phenomena, and all these things will fall under the concept of a research. Suppose in so many contexts we might have come across, did you go through the concept of research? So what does it mean? Did you go through the concept of research? So that tells that what is the object of your research, what are the subjective collections of that particular research, and what is the condition related to that particular research, pre and post conditions of that particular research, and what are the various events related to that particular research, and what is the present situation or circumstance of that particular research, and even the behavioral patterns of a particular phenomena. So all these things will form a concept in research. So the concept will tell you about a concept can be an object, or it can be a subject, or it can be a condition, or it can be an event, or it can be a situation, or it can be a behavioral aspect, and all these things will form a concept. Even all concepts that we will view in the beginning point of all research endeavors, unless otherwise when we do not collect the concept of research in a systematic manner, it's very tough to conduct research in any area. So that's the reason why research and research related concept understanding plays a very crucial role. When you do not properly understand the concept of a research, and we cannot conduct any kind of research. So a concept, it can be related to the object of a research, the subject of a research, and the conditional situational conditions of that particular research, and the various events associated with that particular research, and the behavioral patterns related to that particular research, and all these variety of things plays a crucial role in every research. So the beginning point of every research, the concept plays a very crucial role. So we should collect the accurate concept related to a research. So the next one, constructs. Say the constructs or the variables existed in a research are used interchangeably. Suppose the variables existed in a research, talk about the demographic variables, age, gender, educational qualification, income, location of the respondents. There are so many variables will come into the picture. What this construct will speaks about in the sense, the abstract relationship among the variables. The abstract relationship among the variables. Suppose the income of the respondents with respect to educational qualification, whether is there any significant relationship between income of the respondents and the educational qualification. So such kind of abstract idea related to a research, an abstract idea related to a research will fall under the concept of the constructs. Even these constructs and concepts plays a very crucial role in every research. Okay. So the next one, the variables. So a variable, right? In every research, a list of variables plays a very crucial role. The variables can be like independent variables, dependent variables, and dichotomous variables, intervening variables, moderating variables, mediating variables, and so many different types of variables will come into the picture, especially in the social science research, and certain controlled variables and uncontrolled variables. The controlled variables, basically the independent variables, the controlled variables that we can able to manipulate the phenomena. The controlled variables. The best example, the categorical variable, the nominal variables will fall under the concept of the controlled variables, which we can able to manipulate the phenomena. And an uncontrolled variables and the dependent variables will fall under the concept of dependent variables. So a research comprises of various types of variables. So what exactly a variable? A variable is a symbol of an event, act, characteristics, trait, or attributes that can be measured. Attributes that can be measured. In most of the situation, the categorical variables will fall under the list of variables. Right? So we will see what are the various types of variables. So the types of variables majorly comprise of the independent variables, the dependent variables, the dichotomous variables, moderating variables and mediating variables, and the intervening variables, controlled variables and uncontrolled variables. Suppose we'll see one after one. The independent variable, a variable which will never depend on any other variable, will fall under independent variables. The best example, the demographic factors. The demographic variables all fall under the independent variables. What are those demographic factors? Age, gender, educational qualification, income, location of the respondent. Suppose the age of the person, the educational qualification, location of the respondents, income of the people, race of the people, right? Caste category of the respondent, and all these things will come under the independent variables, right? So the dependent variable, a dependent variable is a variable which will depend upon other variables, will fall under the dependent variables. The best example, sales is a dependent variable. Sales is a dependent variable which will depend upon so many independent variables like price, quality, quantity, post sales services, warranties, guarantees, offers, discounts, and all these things will fall under the concept of dependent variables. So a dependent variable is a variable which will depend upon a group of independent variables, right? And the next one, controlled variable and uncontrolled variable. A controlled variable which can be manipulated, which can be possible to change, which can be possible to alter. Basically, a controlled variable which can able to manipulate the things. Suppose all independent variables will fall under the category of controlled variables, and all dependent variables will fall under the category of uncontrolled variables. So basically, the uncontrolled variables, the dependent variables, it's purely depending on independent variables. So that's the reason why these dependent variables themselves, they cannot do any sort of manipulations. So if at all, if you want to do the changes in the dependent variable, you need to start from the independent variable. So these are things related to the controlled variables and uncontrolled variables. So dichotomous variables, where a question is having only two alternatives, two choices, where a question is having only two choices, that is what we call it as the concept of dichotomous variables. Suppose, how do you satisfy the water facilities provided by the organization A? Suppose, are you satisfied water facilities provided by the organization A? Yes, B, no. Are you satisfied working conditions of the organization? Yes, B, no. So these kind of variables, will fall under the concept of dichotomous nature of variables. And when you go for this moderating variables and mediating variables, which will be used to assess the interaction effect among the variables. Suppose the HRD practices gives rise employee job performance. As HRD practices are more effective, employee job performance also more effective. But the moderating variable, employee job satisfaction. As employee job satisfaction is there, automatically the HRD practices followed by employee job satisfaction, and that will lead to employee job performance. But practically what it is happening, this employee job satisfaction, which moderates the relationship between two category of the variables, independent variables and dependent variables, right? So this moderating variables and mediating variables are trying to assess the interaction effect of the variables. In most of the situations, it will act as a mediator or moderator between dependent variable and independent variable in most of the analysis, right? So, and the next one, relationship among the variables. So there is a one directional relationship, either an arrow relationship or two directional relationship. That's what we call the reciprocal relationship. And it can be a moderated relationship, as we discussed earlier. It can be a moderated relationship, and it can be a mediated relationship. It is a triangle relationship, mediated relationship, right? So a relationship, it can be a mediated relationship, moderated relationship, and reciprocal, in the sense two arrow marks. And the independent, two dependent variable relationship, in the sense one directional relationship. So independent dependent variable relationship, one directional relationship, reciprocal relationship, two directional relationship, moderated relationship, as we have seen a diagram also, and a mediated relationship, it is a triangle loop-ended relationship. So all these are the various concepts that we can able to study with respect to the variables in the analysis. So the next one, propositions and hypothesis. What this hypothesis, a concept will speak in the research, in the sense, as we know, a hypothesis is a tentative assumption statement, right? If any research want to start, it will start with the formulation of hypothesis. The hypothesis, it's comprised of two different types, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis will tell you there is no relationship between two different kinds of variables. That means that the mean deviation, it is equal to 0. And alternative hypothesis will tell you there is a significant relationship between two different types of variables. Here, the mean difference, it may be greater than 0 or it may be less than 0. Something will happen here. It may be greater than effect or less than effect. So here the proposition and hypothesis will be used to formulate certain statements in the analysis. So what are those statements? In the sense, hypothesis statements. And hypothesis is a tentative assumption statement which will be used to formulate a statement. The statement, it can be two types, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. And the theory. Say, every research, as we discussed earlier, every research will start with studying theory-related information of that particular problem area. Suppose I'm trying to conduct a research with respect to employee performance appraisal in a HR area. So preliminarily, what I need to do is I need to collect all theory-related information of performance appraisal system, which includes introduction of performance appraisal system, meaning and definitions of performance appraisal system, factors which impact on performance appraisal system, process of performance appraisal system, right? Advantages of performance appraisal system, disadvantages of performance appraisal system, and all limitations of performance appraisal system. What all these things? In a sense, a theory building. So when you're trying to conduct a research in any particular domain, first and foremost aspect is you need to develop a theory related to that particular problem area. We need to develop a theory related to that particular problem area. Unless otherwise, when we do not develop a theory related to that particular problem area, it is very tough to conduct research in any area. So a smooth research, a systematic research will start with the proper theoretical framework of a research. Theoretical framework of a research. This theoretical framework will tell you about collecting the theoretical information related to the particular problem area. So the hands-on theoretical concepts related to the references and the bibliography of that particular theoretical concepts plays a crucial role. And the models, as we have seen, the so many models with respect to HR models and the finance models and the marketing models. A model will give you an abstract idea of that particular research. The best model, as we discussed, right? Suppose the best model of a research, like the HRD practices, the HRD practices of an organization, right? The HRD practices leads to job performance, the job performance, and the higher job performance that we can able to see employee job satisfaction, employee job satisfaction, right? Now here HRD practices to employee job performance. Obviously we can see higher job performance when HRD practices are good. We can see higher job performance whenever HRD practices to employee job satisfaction to employee job performance. Now this is a model. Now this is a model. Now this is what we call a model. So these kind of models we need to develop more and more in all domains wherever we are trying to conduct a research. So this is what the concept related to developing a model in research. So I hope this extent you understand this concept, and we'll discuss more about this concept little later. Thank you.